Hello again. So we're still in chapter 12, investments for business math. So lesson 12.7, bonds. All right, so we've been moving through all the different types of investments we can do. So make sure, as always, I say this on every single video, make sure you're looking at your chapter, reading through the lesson, looking at the examples and the formulas they give you. Don't just jump into the worksheets without the background knowledge, because just jumping into the worksheets, you haven't learned how to do it yet. So make sure you look through those examples so that you understand what it is you're looking at here. All right, so they always give us this background information here, or this summary. It's not really background information, just a very quick summary. Sometimes, it's super helpful. Sometimes it's very, short, and it's not quite enough to understand exactly what's going on, why we need to read the section. And then they also give us, some of the formulas here. Sometimes they don't explain exactly how to calculate a piece of the formula. So again, that's why the book helps, because the examples generally walk you through it a little bit slower in the book. All right, so let's go ahead and read the summary here. So bonds are issued by governments and large corporations to raise money. When you invest in bonds, you lend money to the corporation or government, and you are paid interest. When the bonds mature, you receive the face value of the bonds. So, short and skinny of it, I guess, is that, you're lending money to the government or to the companies, and they're paying you for lending your money. So we can calculate a few things here. So we have bond cost equals the face value times the percent. So pretty basic calculation there. Annual interest equals the face value times the interest rate. Again, pretty basic calculation there, not too crazy. Annual yield, we're just going to divide the annual interest. So you have to calculate that first, and then you're going to divide by the bond cost. So again, not super crazy calculations on this one. Pretty straightforward and not too kind of complicated, or there's not going to be a whole lot of steps for each one of these. All right, so for the complete the table below, round each percent to the nearest hundredth. So they're letting you know you're probably going to have some decimals in here that you need to round. So at first they give us the source, and this is just it's investment speak, kind of, if I want to say it that way. So these stand for a certain type of investment. I don't honestly know enough about investments. I don't play with this kind of stuff too much. So I don't know what GTE stands for, or FRJINT. They're different companies, basically, or government entities. So, but this is kind of what you're buying into is what the source means. Face value of the bond, so this just tells you how much you're giving them. And then quoted price. So this is where it gets a little bit weird. It looks like they're telling you that it's, how do I want to explain that? You can kind of treat it like a percentage in a way. So if the face value is 10,000, what this quoted price is saying is that for every dollar, you're actually only paying 98 cents of that dollar. So you're actually getting a deal. You're paying a little bit less than what it's actually worth. So this $12,000 face value, they're quoting you 77, which means 77 cents on the dollar. You, again, can think of it like percentages because you move the decimal number twice anyway for a percentage. So it's perfectly fine to think of it that way. But that's kind of the idea there, is it's how much are they giving you for each dollar. So you're not paying the full amount. You're actually getting a discount. So what we do is we just multiply. But make sure you're kind of treating these like percentages. Because if you just do 10,000 times 98, you're going to get a very large number. You're going to be paying a lot for that. We want to multiply it basically by 98% or 98 cents, which would get us 9,800. So it's worth 10,000. We're only going to pay 9,800. So hopefully that makes sense. It's cents on the dollar is kind of the way that you can think of that. The next column here, they give us the interest rate, which is, perfect. So if we want the annual interest, we take the face value, which they gave us, and we multiply by the interest rate. So pretty easy. Face value, 10,000 times 5.6%. So we get $500 So that's our annual interest that we're going to get. The annual yield, we take the annual interest we just calculated, the 560, and we're going to divide by the bond cost. So remember, that's the first thing you calculate here, the bond cost. So we're going to take 560, and we're going to divide by 9,800, and we get, you actually get a very long decimal here, and I'm going to write it up above. I may have cut this one off a little bit, but you get this longer decimal. They want you to round to the nearest hundredth for a percentage. So don't go 1, 2, that's 100th, and stop and round there. That's your percentage. You want to round at the hundredth for the percent. So we want 5.71%. So just pay attention to that wording there. It's 100th of a percent, not just 100th. All right, so let me see. I'm looking down below here at the word problems. I don't see anything super crazy. So calculate the yield to the nearest hundredth of a percent. Ralph Cerez purchases a $9,000 bond at 88.25. It pays 5% annual interest. So, what is the cost of the bond? You multiply 9,000 by 88.25%, or, move the decimal over. It's 88 cents and a quarter of a cent, basically. Like if you chopped a penny into 4 pieces, that's what the 0.25 means. So we multiply these two, that gives us our cost. What is the annual interest? So we take our face value, which is the 9,000, and we multiply by our interest rate. And then what is the annual yield? So you divide that number, the part B, by your bond cost that you calculated in part A. So they're having you calculate all the pieces here. So just make sure you're paying attention to the wording and what they're asking you to do there. Number 6, pretty much identical. Nothing changing there. Number 7, we do have a little bit more going on in number 7. So let me scooch down there. So we have the Simona Housing Authority is offering $10,000 bonds that pay 4.2% annual interest. The quoted price of each bond is 102.125. So this actually means that you're getting more. And they put the dollar sign in front of this one. So again, hopefully that's not going to be confusing. Think of it like that percentage. So you'd move the decimal over 2 times. So you really get 1.02125. So you're paying the full dollar and a little bit more. So you're actually paying more than the face value on this one, because it's over 1 or over 100. So Ron Kazazuko purchased 15 bonds through a broker who charges a 1.25% sales commission. So this is coming back, sales commission, from some previous lessons here, of, we have to pay for this service of buying and selling our investments. So first, what is the cost of the bonds, including the commission? So we need to take our $10,000, multiply it by our quoted price, and then add, we also need to multiply by 1.25, because that'll tell us what the commission is. So here, let's write this out down here on the bottom here. So we have 10,000 bonds. We're paying 1.02125. Either you can think of that as a percent, or the amount on the dollar. So that kind of sounds confusing, but that's a lot of the way they say it when they're doing stocks and bonds and things like that. And this will give us the price that we purchased them for. So 10,212. 50. Yeah, sorry. And then, so this is one bond. How many did he purchase? He purchased 15 of them. So we need to multiply by 15. So he made $153,187.50 investment here. So he definitely put quite a bit of money into these bonds, because he purchased 15 of them. So remember, this is one This is 15. So we need to take that price and multiply by his commission rate, right? So that we know how much did he have to pay for commission. So this will give us his commission, and we need to add that back to the purchase price here, because that's the total price. How much did it cost total? So we end up with, let's see, sorry, losing my place here. 1,914, and I'm going to round this off, 84. So this is the commission, and we want to add these two back. So I need to add these two together for my total price. So I end up with 155,100. Oops, I'm writing sideways here. 102.34. Sorry, it gets a little harder to write toward the bottom of the pages here. All right, so I know that's a little sloppy down here at the bottom, but this is part A. This is the cost of the bonds, including the commission. And then part B, what is the total annual interest? So that one's, you know, a little bit more straightforward. We have 10,000 each. There's 15 of them, so we need to make sure we multiply by 15, and then we're just going to multiply by the percentage rate. So I'll let you guys finish that calculation off. So that's what you're going to put here. What is the annual yield? So remember, annual yield, you can still see that here up at the top of the page, is the annual interest that we just calculated in part B divided by the bond cost. So you're going to take this amount once you're done calculating it, and you're going to divide by the bond cost. And they told us the bond cost, or sorry, that's what we calculated. The bond cost was this amount here before commission. So we want to ignore the commission when we're calculating part C. So we want to divide part B by this number down here, this 153,000, sorry. All right, so the last part, part D, what is the annual yield if you include the commission as part of the cost? So now, you know, just to see how does it change? Now what they want you to do is take that same number from part B and this time divide it by what you had in part A. So including the commission price, they're just having you recalculate it with that $1,914 included. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys finish those off. I know I'm not doing quite as much of the work on some of these ones, but I'm hopefully setting you up and getting you to the point where you understand what you need to do to calculate each piece. And I hope that's helping. I will see you in section 8. All right.